welcome to this session about the Digital Cultural Awards. Today's webinar is scheduled to last for an hour, and it is all about questions and answers. So please add them in to the Q&A function, which I'll talk about in a second. If you'd like to use closed captions, there is a CC button at the bottom of the screen, and Trish is doing our closed captioning today. We also have a British Sign Language interpretation available. So you'll see on screen, we have Alice at the moment, and we'll also have BB, and they'll be switching between each other as we go through the session today. This whole session is going to be recorded and will be available on our website as well. We'll send you an email with the link in. So if you do want to watch any of this back at any point, you're able to do that. But please use the chat facility. If you select everyone from the drop down, we'll be able to see your messages. And please use the reaction buttons to make sure they're working. Say hello, where you're from. That'd be really nice to see your messages. And as I said, this whole session is about question and answers. So there is a Q&A option in the bottom of your screen. If you click that, you can add your questions in there, and we'll get to anything that you want to ask during the session today about the Digital Culture Awards. There we go. So I'm James. I'm one of the tech champions at the Digital Culture Network. I'm a white man with brown hair, wearing an orange jacket today in my blue room. This session we're going to have today, we're going to have different people from the Digital Cultural Awards team. So they're the administrative team and everybody that's going to make it happen and read through all of the wonderful submissions that you have as well. So we'd like to bring in the different team members to introduce themselves. So I'm just going to bring in Rose for a start.
Thanks, James. Hi, everyone. My name is Rose Marfleet, and I'm a white Australian woman with strawberry blonde hair and big dark-rimmed glasses. I'm the Senior Manager for Programs for the Digital Culture Network, and I've been involved in the development and the delivery of the Digital Culture Awards since it began. I'm going to pass over to Evelina.
Thanks, Rose. Hi, everyone. My name is Evelina. I am a white woman with medium-length brown hair, wearing a white jumper and headset. And I am the project manager for the Digital Culture Network. And I have been working on the awards, on the planning and execution of the whole project. And I'll pass on to Mike.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mike. I am the project coordinator for the Digital Culture Network, and I'm working closely on the Digital Culture Awards as well with Evelina and Rose. I am a white male with short brown hair, and I'm wearing a brown t-shirt, and I've got a sort of a white background with a big picture frame behind me.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Mike, and everybody else. So the structure of today's webinar is that there's going to be a short presentation about the awards, different things that we're going to talk through. So we've received quite a few questions about it already. So we've created this content to address some of those questions. But if you do have any others, just please use the Q&A function as we go along, and we'll get to those at the end. So over to Rose, and she's going to take you through the first part of today's webinar.
Thanks, James. So a quick introduction of what the Digital Culture Awards are. They're an awards opportunity that are created and run and delivered by Arts Council England's Digital Culture Network. And for those of you who might not know who the Digital Culture Network are, we are a team of digital experts or tech champions, of which James is one of them. And we provide free digital skills support and training to the creative and cultural sector in England. We've been doing this for over 5 years now. And in that time, we've supported over 1,900 individuals and organizations to grow their digital skills and confidence. And we've done that through over 6,000 individual one-to-one support cases and more than 100 webinars and events. And through all of that work, we've seen so much and continue to see so much creativity and resilience and innovation and passion about how people are approaching using digital and bringing it into their work in the creative and cultural sector. And that's really the reason why the Digital Culture Awards exist. They were established so that we can celebrate and showcase all of that excellence and innovation that we see and we know is happening across the sector. And it really gives the opportunity as well for us to showcase what's possible. So for your peers to have a look and see what you're doing, and sharing learnings and inspiring each other. So it's a brilliant project that we love delivering. It's the third time that we've done it. 2022, we did it just after the pandemic, and then 2023 again. As James said, I'm going to be talking, Evelina and I are going to be talking now for maybe about 20 minutes, answering some of the questions that have already come through to us. But if you have any more, please do use the Q&A function to ask us questions, and we'll get to them soon. So some of the main questions that we've been asked so far have been about the categories and what we're looking for in those categories. The best way to learn that is by heading to the individual category pages on our website and on the submissions platform. And Evelina will talk a little bit more in a minute about how to access all of that. But I am just going to whip through the categories and just explain what they are and kind of what we're looking for from each of them. So we'll start off with the digital marketing category. And that category recognises outstanding digital marketing. We're looking for entries that show how you've used digital marketing to really reach your goals or make an impact. So exciting marketing or advertising campaigns using one or more different digital marketing channels like social media or email marketing or search engine optimization. The next category is digital content, which is one that is always super popular. We always get the most entries in this category, and it recognises the innovative use of technology to create and distribute creative and cultural content. We want to show how that, we want you to show us how that digital content has had a positive impact on you or your audience. And it's really important to note that we're not scoring the piece of content itself. What we're interested in is the story. So why you used the technology you did, what the impact was, and why it was innovative for you. The next category is using data, and this one recognises innovative use of data collection and analysis to steer decision making or to drive change and make impact. We want to see how you've used data to do things like reach new audiences, address user needs, or grow online revenue. The next one is digital inclusion. This is another one that's always really, really popular and gets lots and lots of entries. It recognises the innovative use of digital technology to improve access to creativity or culture for diverse and representative audiences. So entries can include things like the use of assistive technology, projects that provide affordable access to technology, the creation of inclusive or accessible digital spaces, or the use of technology to make in-person spaces accessible or inclusive. And then the final category this year is digital ambassador. So this category recognises someone who uses digital technology or tools to create lasting and impactful change in your own projects or as part of an organisation. So you could be at any point of your career, you can be of any skill level, but we're just really interested in hearing from people who are helping to transform how your organisation or your community is using digital technology and really advocating for it. This category only accepts self-submissions. So unfortunately, you can't nominate a peer or a colleague. So if there is someone that you think should enter the awards, then please do encourage them. You're very welcome to help them with their submission, but unfortunately, you can't submit on their behalf. One of the questions that we've been asked a lot is whether you can enter more than one category. And the answer is yes, you can. You can enter the same project into all 5 categories if you like. You just need to be sure to address the relevant questions on each of the different individual categories, and the questions are different for each category. You can also enter several projects into one category if you would like to as well. Those of you that have been with us from the beginning of the awards will see that we do have fewer categories this year. After each of the awards, we do a period of evaluation and assessment to decide the best way forward for the next year. If looking at that category list today, you feel like there's something missing and it's not immediately obvious to you where your brilliant digital project might fit in one of those 5 categories, then please, if you're happy to, you could put a bit more information about your project in the Q&A today, and we can have a look at it at the end. Or even better, it might be if you could email us or share those details at the end with a bit of information about your category, and we can guide you as to where it might fit. Now I'm going to briefly talk through the amazing judges that we've got involved in this year. We're really excited about the people that we've got on board. So starting off, we've got Ranjit Kaur Atwell, and she's a communications consultant and mentor, and she's currently leading communications at Disabled-Led Arts Commissioner Unlimited. And Ranjit joins us for the brand new digital marketing category. Next, we've got Megan Jones. Megan is joining us for the digital content category. She has led on the strategic development and delivery of digital content for lots of museums and is currently digital content manager at National Museums Scotland. Next, we've got Katie Rains, who is founder and CEO of Indigo Limited. And Katie has lots of experience developing and leading research and audience strategy projects with numerous organisations across England and internationally. And Katie joins us again in the Using Data category. Next, we've got Tom Riles, who is joining us for the digital inclusion category. Tom is a cultural consultant, strategist, and writer who works with disabled-led cultural organisations. And his passion is really about ensuring disabled people have the agency to shape our national culture. And lastly, we've got Zach Mensah, who is the co-CEO of Birmingham Museums Trust. And Zach is a true advocate for the positive impact that technology can have on the creative and cultural sector. And that makes him the perfect judge for the digital ambassador category this year. And then lastly, we've just got a little sneak peek of some of the faces of the Digital Culture Network, our tech champions, who will also be involved with the scoring process at various rounds. So with that, we've had quite a lot of questions about how we're scoring things. So I'm going to talk a bit about that and also give you some important dates as well. So here are all the important dates, the timeline for the project. Submissions, we're already taking submissions. They're open until the 23rd of October at 12 p.m. So we can't take submissions after that point. The platform will close. So please make sure that if you're planning to enter, you've completed your entry and you've pressed submit before midday on the 23rd of October. Just to explain the judging process, all of those entries that we receive will be scored. Each category will have its own scoring panel, and those panels will be made up of largely people from the Digital Culture Network team, so all those tech champions that I was talking about before, and also some others from Inside Arts Council with some expert knowledge. They'll pick a long list. That long list will then be scored by a smaller panel of judges for each category, who will include those brilliant judges that I've just spoken about before, as well as a few people from the Digital Culture Network and Arts Council as well. And they're going to meet to select a shortlist and a winner. We'll be announcing the long list in early December, we'll be announcing the shortlist in early February, and we'll be announcing the winners in mid-March. And speaking of the winners, unfortunately, there isn't a big cash prize this year or any year, but you will win a trophy and a certificate, and you'll be showcased in a video case study and on a page on our website and across all of our marketing channels, so Digital Culture Network and Arts Council channels. And the shortlist and the long list will also get different levels of exposure across our channels in the period between December through to March as well. So that's enough from me. I'm now going to pass across to Evelina, who's going to talk a bit about who we can take entries from.
Thanks, Rose. So as Rose mentions, I'm going to talk a bit about who can enter the awards. We have had quite a lot of questions coming in about eligibility and who can enter. So this is an important section to cover. All organizations and for Arts Council England funding can enter the awards. You must be based in England and work within one of the Arts Council supported art forms. Just a quick reminder that the Arts Council supported art forms are combined arts, dance, libraries, literature, museums, music, theatre, and visual arts. You would either be someone who works for or with a non-for-profit creative or cultural organization. You may be an individual who is working independently, like an individual artist or a practitioner, or you may be a freelancer. An important thing to remember here is that you don't currently need to be in the receipt of funding from Arts Council. So if you had funding in the past, if you haven't had funding before, you can still apply as long as you meet those previous conditions. Another question that came up quite a lot was the eligibility period. So your entire project or campaign must have taken place fully or in part during the eligibility period, which you can see on screen, which is between the 1st of November 2022 to the 1st of October 2024. So that's something important to check before you decide to enter your project. Now, another important question that came up a lot in the registration form that we have received from you is what kind of information we'll ask you as part of your submission. It's part of your entry. The entry form will ask you a few questions about your organization. For example, we will ask the name of the organization, the region where it is based, the art form. We will also ask for a short summary of the project. So really just a few sentences of what the project is about. Another thing we will ask for will be 3 category specific questions about your project, a little bit more details about how it went, how was the impact, and these category questions will be different for each category you enter. And we will also ask for a few assets. We will ask for your logo and any other assets to support your entry. These could include images, videos, documents, anything that you really think should be included in your entry and could support the story of your project. These assets will be used to promote your project if you are shortlisted, so they really need to tell the story of your project. If you would like to see some more detailed guidance on category-specific questions, you can find all of them on category pages on our website. Rose will also provide a few top tips for a great entry later in the presentation. And if you would like to see a detailed walkthrough the entry platform or the entry form, you can find it in How to Enter video. We have created a How to Enter video where we show every single bit of the entry platform and talk you through it. So this may be a very helpful step to take before submitting your entries if you have any questions. And Mike will drop a link to the video in the chat right now, and we will also send that link in the post-webinar email. If you already had a look at all the information and you still have more questions, please add them to the Q&A function, and we will try to answer all of them today. I will now pass on to Rose, who will talk to you a little bit about what makes a good entry.
Evelina. Okay, so what I would like to do now is just, talk a bit about what we're looking for, because there's lots of information on the website and instructions about criteria, etc., that Evelina has mentioned. But I think ultimately what we're really looking for are interesting projects that show the impact that digital technology can have on a way a cultural organization does its business, or an individual does their business, distributes their creative output, or engages with their audiences. We talk a lot about innovation in the messaging for the awards, but that always is within the context of the size and scope of your organization or your resource. So, for example, we know what's innovative for a big red brick museum isn't always going to be possible for a smaller volunteer local museum. But that small museum could be doing something that's super innovative or impactful for them, or for an organisation of their size. And that's not to say that we don't want entries from the bigger organisations, because we absolutely do, because they're doing really interesting and exciting stuff too. It's more just to say that, really hammer home that that context is really, really important. So if I can leave you with anything, it's making sure that in your entries you explain the context of the size and resource, the size of your organisation and the amount of resources you had available to you. And the other thing I really want to hammer home is talking about the impact. So the impact that the project has had on you and how you measured it. So if we take the example that is on the screen at the moment, in 2023, the Crab Museum won for their radical and unhinged social media strategy. And on the right hand of the screen, there is a meme, and it's a black square, and you can see a quite scary looking crab looking face on, depending on how you feel about crabs. And there is some writing, and it's backwards. And so to read, I'll read it out to you. How does it feel to be the meme for once, you stupid humans? And this is one of the assets that the Crab Museum entered as part of their entry. And it's one of the many very funny assets that they share and images that they share on their Instagram account. So they developed a really specific social media presence across just one channel, which was Instagram. And by keeping really laser focused on their message and their niche, they very quickly built a unexpectedly large and loyal audience online, which then drove a number of 26,000 in-person visitors to their museum. And I think that's between the period of 2021 and 2022. That is in the context of the Crab Museum, that's a massive, impressive number, because very small museum, both floor space and the number of exhibitions that they have available. They're in a small seaside town that gets seasonal tourism only. And at that point, I think they were only open a couple of days a week. And the museum was run and started by three crab enthusiast friends with no experience in the museum sector. And they were shortlisted alongside some much bigger organisations who also did some excellent and brilliant and exciting stuff. But the Crab Museum won because they just did an excellent job of explaining the context of their work within what it meant and the impact and how it was relevant to the size and scope of what they had available to them. On to the next one. It's really important to consider what assets you share. And I think the previous one from the Crab Museum helps with that, because that's a really fun asset that they shared and it's attention grabbing. You really need to be able to tell the story of your project with your assets as much as possible. And that's to it grabs the judge's attention or interest. It helps us really properly understand the written word, or however you choose to enter your entry. And if you're shortlisted, it also is the assets that will help your peers see and learn more about your project. So ideally, the assets would be a high quality, but we know that's not always possible, and they don't need to be, as long as they do a good job of explaining what your project is, or supporting to explain what your project is. These two pictures that are on the screen now come from a project which won in 2023 as well, from Dada, and it was a research and development project largely focusing on the use of holograms. And these two pictures do a really good job of clearly showing two streams of that particular research project. So the project aimed to explore how technology could be used to make alternative types of live performance accessible to deaf audiences. So how making things like immersive performance or non-traditional in-person seating formations accessible to deaf audiences. And just to explain what the pictures are, although I do think it's quite self-evident, on the left you can see we're in a rehearsal room and there is a hologram of a signer who is interacting live with a person live in the room. And then on the right you have a picture of a person holding up a mobile phone. And you can see how a signer, a British Sign Language interpreter, might be superimposed into a VR headset or some other type of immersive technology. It's a really cool project, and we've actually got a little video on our website about it, so I will find the link and try and pop that in the chat so you can watch it. One last thing on assets is we know it's trickier in some categories or for some projects. You might not have visual assets like this. You might not have a performance or something or research that you can take a photo of and share with us, or a video. You might just have, a page of reports or some data, for example. So think about whether you could create something like maybe a colorful graphic to display your data. You could do it in something like PowerPoint. Or alternatively, do you have some stills from a related project that could feed into that project? So, top tips. I'm just going to reiterate a few things and add a few more. First of all, your context. Make sure that you tell us why what you're entering is innovative for you based on your resources available to you. Talk about your impact. Tell us what your measures for success were. What were your goals? How did you measure whether you reached them or not? And what metrics did you use? Because what you choose there is also telling us something really important. The next one is providing relevant and engaging resources. And then one thing that I haven't mentioned before, but I think is really important, is we don't need you to write an essay. So it's absolutely fine to use bullet points and short sentences. You're not being scored on your grammar. You are not being scored on your spelling. We just need to be able to understand your argument and understand the story of your project. And for the last one, I asked James, who you saw earlier. He's been a judge on the awards for both years across several categories. So I asked him whether he had any thoughts or top tips to share with you from his perspective. So James, do you want to jump back on screen?
Yes. Hello, I'm back. Yeah, from what reading, James is a great guy. Thanks, Ollie. So from reading all the applications that we had in the past, when, especially for the Ambassador Award, it's really hard to sell yourself. So I do recommend getting somebody else to read it and help you with that application, even though you're the one submitting it, because you find it when you're doing job applications and things like that. It's really hard to position yourself in a way. You are doing amazing things, and that goes to all the awards. So be really confident in what you're doing, and please get somebody else to look at it, and it will really help with your application before you actually submit it into us.
Brilliant. Thank you. So that, I think, brings us to the end of our presentation. We'll take some questions now. Evelina, do you want to stop sharing the slides? And I'm going to hand over to Mike, who you met at the beginning and who has been working away in the back end to make sure that everything is running okay. He's going to pick a few questions, and Evelina, James and I are going to have a go at answering them.
Great. Hello, everyone. So first question in the Q&A box is, what will the impact of an entry be scored on?
Shall I take this?
Which one to go to? Oh, yeah, I'll go Evelina.
Yeah, no problem. So Rose already mentioned a little bit about this one, and we do know that impact can mean a different thing for different organization and different person, and each project entered into the awards would demonstrate impact in their own way and on their own scale. So we do not have a specific set of criteria on how we score on impact. For that, as we know, again, that it means a different thing for different organizations. But what we will need for you to do as part of your entry, we will need to know what were your goals and why these were your goals, and you will need to properly talk about your impact. So you need to share your metrics, you need to share the measures you have used, you will need to provide as much details as possible for us to fully understand why this project was impactful for you, for your organization, for the size and the scale of your work. So yeah, it's really what you provide, what kind of information you give us, and then we can assess based on that.
Great, thanks, Evelina. This is one we've had quite a few of, similar ones. So how many categories can we apply for? And if you're not from a priority place, will you be judged differently?
Shall I take that one?
Go for it.
So how many categories can you apply for?
Yeah, that was the common one, and then the priority place bit was add-on.
Yeah, so you can apply for as many categories as you like, and you can enter several entries into an individual category as long as they are different projects. In regards to the priority place piece, I'm assuming that is in response to the fact that we ask people for priority place to self-identify as to whether they're located in a priority place as part of the entry form. And that is simply because we want to have a better idea of what our reach is in priority places. It really helps us understand what our reach is and who we're reaching and who we're not reaching, and where we need to focus more of our efforts to reach particular areas within the country that would benefit from our support. So you won't be judged particularly based on the fact that you are a priority place.
Great, thanks, Rose. I think Evelina covered this, but we'll go over it anyways, just in case. So Katie's asked, is there a minimum period that the project has to have been run for?
No, there is no minimum period. As long as it was innovative for you, as long as it uncovered some change, as long as it was interesting and important for you or your organization, you can enter.
Great, thank you. Just having a look through. Gary's asked, can you save and return at another time when completing the application form?
Yes. So the entry form that we are using, the entry platform which we are using is called the Award Force, and it allows you to start an application, save it, and you can come back to it at any point whenever you're ready, as long as you come back before the entry period closes, which is noon on the 23rd of October. And just to mention here as well, even if you submit your entry and you still at some point realize that you want to add some more details, you can still go back to it and add more details or assets as long as it's before the entry period closes.
Great, thanks, Evelina. Another one is, what advice would you give to organisations entering the awards for the first time, particularly in ensuring their submission reflects the innovative aspects of their work? Who'd like that one?
James, have you got any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, a couple. It's kind of like what I was saying before. I think it's being confident in the stuff that you're doing, because you are doing amazing things, and it's trying to articulate that and the journey you've gone on. Because as Rose mentioned earlier on, we do get applications from huge organizations with lots of resources, but it's all in context to what you're doing and what's the impact on your organization and what you're doing. And yeah, just be clear about where you were, what it did, and what the outcomes were, and it just makes it easy for us to compare it against the other applicants as well. I
think that's putting it really well, is like where you were, what you did, and where you are now is a really good way of thinking about showing the impact and telling us and the judges what the impact was.
Great, thanks both. Right, we've got a few more. Sorry, go on.
Question, wasn't it? Was there a...
Sorry, mine cut out then, Rose, sorry.
No, ignore me.
Good, all right. Alicia asks, how many submissions do you expect in total based on previous years? Also, how many will be on the long and short list respectively?
Oh, that's an interesting question. It's really hard to judge or expect or know how many entries we can expect, because the first awards ran in 2022, and they were just after the pandemic. So we received quite a high number of entries. And then in 2023, we received a little bit less. So it's quite difficult to know how many we will get this year. Obviously, we want to get as many as possible. So yeah, if you have any interesting projects, please enter. We would love to hear about them. We know that you are doing great work, and it would be great to read about it and showcase it. Historically, we the long list had about between 8 to 12 entries. It really depends on what kind of entries we get and how they get scored, but it will be between 8 to 12 entries. And then the short list, it will be 3 best score entries. And then out of the short list, we would pick a winner.
Historically, sometimes we do have a slightly longer long list or a slightly longer short list if we get some like really brilliant, too many brilliant entries. Well, we always get lots of brilliant entries, but sometimes the judges can't quite decide. So don't hold us to that 3 and 8 to 12 because it might be slightly different.
Thanks, Rose.
Great, thanks both. Another one we've got here is, what specific criteria will the judges prioritise when evaluating projects in the digital inclusion category? How do you ensure diversity and accessibility are fairly assessed across all categories?
So we do have a specific criteria for each category, and they're available on the category page. If helpful, I can read them out. Just give me 1 second. I have them here. So in digital inclusion, we are looking to see if you consider the needs of your audience or participants, including consulting those with lived experiences. We are looking to see the steps you took to improve or increase digital inclusion or accessibility. And we would like to see how your work widen access to creativity and culture. These are the 3 main points that we will be looking for in your entries, and the judges will be looking for this information when scoring the entries. And then to answer the second part of the question, we are considering the diversity, accessibility, and inclusion across all categories. Our judges were provided with guidance when scoring, and equality, diversity, inclusion are at the forefront of the guidance. So it is being considered across all the entries, not only in the digital inclusion category.
And just to add to that as well, there's we explain that on the category pages, don't we, Evelina, under the sort of important things to consider area. So when you're completing your submission, that will be highlighted to you, that's something that the judges will be considering as well.
Great, thanks both. There's one in the Q&A box that asks, can you give more examples of digital content entries? I got the link for the winner page, if that's handy for now, because I don't think we haven't got another presentation.
No, we don't. So it's quite a wide-ranging category, I'll be honest. We get lots of different types of content because we do get people who are submitting things that are marketing content and then on the whole, but also we get people submitting like pieces of actual cultural content as well, which is fine. As I said, we're not scoring you on the piece of work, we're scoring you on the story behind the piece of work. But I think going to the archive pages and looking at the winners, the link that Mike will share will have information about winners, as well as showing you the short list and the long list. And if you can look at 2022 and 2023 just to get an idea of all of the different types of stuff that's been shortlisted. It is quite varied.
Great, thanks, Rose. We've got a few more pre-submitted ones and then a few in the Q&A as well. Couple of more specific ones. So someone's asked, we launched our new website at the beginning of this year and would like to know how it could fit into the theme of this year's awards, which is quite a broad one, I guess.
So the first question I would ask back here is, what was the impact of this for your organization or for you? Was it a new innovative or exciting approach that you have taken, different to what you have done before? Has it brought any change or, as I said, any impact? I think it's good to consider those questions and review the details for each category, because with such little information, It's really difficult to say which category you can enter, or if you could enter any of the categories. So if after reading the category descriptions and criteria on our website, you're still not sure, then it would be great if you could drop us an email with maybe a little bit more details, and then we can have a look at the project and see which category would be best for you.
So Lena, I'll put the email in the chat now as well. We can send it around after as well, but there it is. Where are we now? I'm pretty sure this was referred to, but we'll go over it anyway, just in case. So someone's asked, is there a time period the awards refer to? So the eligibility period. But that was actually covered.
Yeah, the eligibility period is 1st of November 2022 until 1st of October 2024.
Great. Someone's asked, we are not in a Arts Council priority place. Will this have any impact on our submission?
No.
Straight to the point. Good. Right. Okay, another fairly specific project-specific one here. I make short subtitled artist videos which can be multilingual and shared with small audiences with immersive in real life stimuli and live BSL. Should I apply?
This sounds like a potential entry into the digital inclusion category, but I would again advise you to review the criteria and the description on the website and ask yourself if the work you have done meets the criteria. Was it innovative for you? If so, then please enter. We would love to hear about the project.
Okay. Someone's asked, can digital inclusion include hard to reach and excluded communities, not specifically people who might have accessibility needs?
I'll take that one, if that's okay. Yes, it absolutely can. If you look back at some of the shortlist entries, you'll see that those sorts of entries are included in there, and particularly in year one, it wasn't actually in the digital inclusion category, but we got a special commendation for an organisation called Open Class Theatre, who work with specifically with women who've experienced domestic abuse or racism or sexual abuse, and they won for their project largely because of that particular reason, because it was so inclusive. So yes, absolutely, it's the answer to that question.
Great. Helen has asked, I had help from the tech champions and that dramatically improved my social media strategy. Is it okay to submit that if I have had help from us previously? Absolutely.
Helen, the support that you had is exactly that. It's just some support and advice from the tech champions. You did all the work, and we would love to see what you've done and what that journey looked like. So please submit.
But just to be clear, we won't play favourites, and just because you had support from a tech champion doesn't mean that you'll make your way higher up the list.
Great, thanks both. This one is fairly similar to the one about excluded communities, but I'll read it out. I want to find out more information about if we're eligible for supporting people to go online who don't have smartphones, internet, devices at home, and also for their work promoting, sorry, this sentence has stumped me, and also for their work promoting through social media to lowly engaged communities in arts and culture. Sorry, I butchered that a bit.
Again, this sounds like it could be a potential entry into the digital inclusion category. But again, it's difficult to say with little information. So I'm just going to repeat what I said previously, to have a look at the guidance on the digital inclusion category page. And if you think that that's the right category for you, then please enter. If you are still not sure and would prefer for us to have a look at it in more details, then just drop us an email and we will be happy to help.
Great, thank you. If anyone's got any more, we've gone through all the ones in the Q&A box. If people want to have anything on their mind, we've got a few more pre-submitted ones we could go through. Someone has asked about, are the awards open to a newly formed band using a lot of digital technology?
So we do take submissions for creative content, which I'm making the assumption here that the technology that they're using is to create the music. So forgive me if that is incorrect. But if that is correct, then I don't believe we've actually seen an entry like that before, but I would say yes, absolutely. It sounds like it would sit within the digital content category. But again, what I would say is that you just the entry needs to be based on why you use that particular technology, why you felt it was innovative, and what impact it then had on your business as a band in the long term.
Great. I've pretty much answered everything, I believe. So I guess we'll give people a moment if they've got anything else.
James, Rose, is there something that came to your mind that we maybe forgot to speak about, or you think something that people should definitely know?
I think just if you've got any questions, please, like if at any point, if you have any questions for us, please just send us an email. We would much rather you email us to ask so that we can help you find a place for your project and for you to think that you shouldn't be entering, because it's likely that if you've got something, you should be entering, and we want to see it and we want to hear about it.
And don't be shy. You've got to be in it to win it. So
Yeah.
get your applications in.
And I also want to mention that there is an FAQ page on our website where you will find answers to quite a few questions that may be lingering somewhere. So yeah, just please make sure to check that page before entering, to make sure that you have all the information.
And I've just put that in the chat. Thanks for the reminder, Evelina. Yeah, I'll send around all of these links as well in the chat in a follow-up email, so don't worry about trying to copy them all down. But yeah, no more questions have come in, so
Okay.
Everyone's happy, hopefully.
Actually, one more thing that I just thought about is that our access support team is happy to help if you have difficulties with accessing the entry form, which is online, or if you need any more support with understanding the information or any access needs, really. So we will send their email as well in the follow-up email. So you are welcome to get in touch with them if you have any questions or if you need any support.
Have we got the email addresses just on a slide that we can pop up just in case people want to take a screenshot before they head off, maybe?
Yes, I can get that.
Oh, we've had a question come in. Says Rose, referring to Rose. They've said they suffer from dyslexia, and if they're feeling stuck with the application form, can they reach out to one of the team or anyone for support with that?
That's preempting. You were writing that question, I think, just as Evelina was talking about.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll share a link to the email address for our Arts Council's access support team afterwards, and we're going to pop it up on screen in a second, I think, if Evelina can get to it. And you can reach out to them, and they can provide as much support as you need in entering that in the same way that they would support somebody who was perhaps submitting an application to Arts Council's funding rounds as well. So hopefully we'll see an entry from you.
Brilliant. I think that's it. Are we done?
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. For more information, you can go to the Digital Culture network.org.uk/awards. You've got all the information about it there. You can email us on digitalnetwork@artscouncil.org.uk. And as Rose mentioned, if you do have any access requirements at all, please just email access@artscouncil.org.uk and mention that it's about the Digital Culture Awards that you'd like to help with. We can't wait to hear and read your wonderful applications. We're really excited about it. This is like Christmas for us already. We get to deep dive into all your wonderful projects, so can't wait to read them. So please get them in.